who thought of what about him? Totally unself-conscious. No, self-consciousness is bad because we have no right to think of ourselves. Human beings are not born to think of themselves. Because when you think of yourself, you think of yours, mine, as I said in an earlier talk, me and mine. If nature provides everybody, why should I worry what nature will not give me? Nature will give me what I need. And the more I think of myself, the more I feel insecure. I have seen the poor people, like rickshaw pullers who earn 5 rupees a day, 10 rupees a day. They have no concern for the future. He has his rickshaw. What will you do tomorrow? He says, God will give me. Today I had 20 rupees. I gave my wife 10 rupees to keep because poor thing, she has had no money for months. And the rest we bought food. And what did she do? She bought herself a brass ring and a brass nose ring, which she had never had before, 10 rupees. But don't you want to save? Save for what, he says. Where will I keep it? I sleep under the tree, my wife sleeps in that hut. If I save, there are others who are poorer than me, they will rob me. No saving. Enough unto the day is the evil thereof. I have changed it to enough unto the day is the good thereof. And the Christian prayer says, give us this day our daily bread, not our weekly bread or my monthly bread or our annual bread. Give us this day our daily bread. So these dictates of religion, of various religions, they're all the same, You are entitled to the moment's need. You have to breathe. Can you store up breathing and breathe tomorrow for today or today for tomorrow? You are dependent on your next breath from me. And you are laying up your bread and butter storage and your gold in your banks for what? So you see, the Indian culture has never bothered about the future. Our future in spiritual India is restricted to liberation. Because in my life, in my temporal life as a human being, there are going to be problems every day. Existential problems. Not of where I am going to find my, caviar tomorrow. Should I go to the Fiery Stetson or something like that for caviar? Or should I go to the Taj Mahal in Munich, which has been newly built? That is not our concern. Food has been of little concern because the cheapest food we eat, good quality, but no ostentation, no dressing up. The poor man's roti has no ghee, rich man's roti has ghee. That's all about, the difference. So we have no concern. Our only concern is spiritual. How to have final emancipation out of this life, where even faith I don't need, that I will be provided for tomorrow. Where I don't need any guarantees that my next breath will be there. Because there I don't breathe, there I don't eat, there I don't defecate. So the Indian longing, the Indian concern has always been how at the end of this life, whenever it may end, I can find this liberation, this moksha as we call it. See, I am reminded of a story of an emperor. He was a tyrant. And everybody wanted him to die and go to hell. But he had a fish pond in which he used to feed his fish every day with love. When he died, he went up for judgment. All the voices were against him. Send him to hell, God, they said. And just as he was about to sentence him, there were a few tiny voices from some tiny things in one corner of his divine, court hall. They said, Majesty, we would like to be heard. Yes, your divinity, he has looked after us with love, fed us daily. That also may be taken into consideration. So God said, yes, you are taken into consideration. He shall have 5 minutes in heaven, the rest in hell. He can choose which he wants first. And one wise fish came unto his ear and said, choose heaven first, because when you are in heaven, you cannot be removed. You see, that is how even the smallest good repays us. But not with the idea that I will have good from this. I don't give to a beggar saying, oh God, remember this. Otherwise it becomes like the scouts, You are one good deed for the day to be written in your calendar and shown to the scoutmaster. Unthinking charity, unthinking help, unthinking, self-giving. As Babuji said, Babuji's idea of charity was completely different. He said, your duty to your family is paramount. If your family is in need, you must not give in charity even one penny. But what about charity? That's not charity, he said. You can't rob from Peter to pay Paul. If you are taking away from your family, what about your duty to your family, your responsibility to your family? You married, nobody foisted marriage on you. You have children which you love. Look after them first. So this is where they say, charity begins at home. Then it goes beyond your doors. Still, if you have enough, it goes beyond your village. As I said the other day, charity must finally extend to the whole universe. And that charity can come only from a divine vessel containing unlimited sources, which is the heart. Love alone we can give. And then it becomes no more charity. Now when you have love in your heart and it is only love, you become love, which Master was. There's no question of loving you or him or her. It flows. Like honey tastes sweet to everybody. Like lime juice is bitter to everybody. Like sugar is sweet to everybody. Now it manifests its own quality of the self. Our aspiration is to become like that. This is Sahaj Marg. This is duty. This is selflessness. This is love. Love rules all. When you have love, duty, responsibility, you may view them as separate things, you see. It is like a symphony in which you don't distinguish which is the do and which is the me. Everything flows into the next note. And if they don't, there's no harmony. If there's no harmony, it's no music, it's just noise. Now we have seen what duty and responsibility should mean to the abhyasi. Duty done without consciousness that it is my duty. Responsibility handled without the idea that I am responsible, I have to do this. The difference between duty and responsibility is nothing more than this. Duty is something I have to do. Responsibility is something that makes me do it. The combination of the two is the performance of right duty as defined in the Gita. I may have a sense of responsibility, but I don't do anything. And that is the man who always worries, I should have done this, I haven't done it, I should have done that, I didn't put my son through school, I never gave enough attention to my daughter, no, she has run away with some traveling salesman, no. That is responsibility without duty. The other one who does it and curses, damn you, I have to spend $200 on you every month, He does his duty but no sense of responsibility. He thinks he is doing it from some ill-gotten wealth that he has stored. And that is not responsibility. You understand? Now when we come to the Master, I found something very unique and remarkable. I found in him no sense of duty or responsibility except when he taught us. I remember on one occasion there were people for a whole week and he was not well or he was preoccupied with something, I don't know. No sittings. One abhyasi from some place in the, Assam or somewhere, he complained. He said, we have been here for a week and Babuji has not even given us one sitting. Unfortunately, Babuji heard it. And this man went on to add, he has no sense of duty. We come all the way, spending hundreds of rupees. So Babuji immediately said, look here, I have no duty towards anybody except towards my master. What he orders me to do, I do. I have no obligation towards abhyasis. I have no duty towards abhyasis. In fact, I don't know what my abhyasis are, who they are. When they come, I serve my master, but by doing his, directives, performing the action that he wants me to do, and that is it. So later on I had a private talk with him. I said, Babuji, can you explain this little more? He said, I am serving only one, and that is my master. I love my master, so I serve him. I don't work for pay or salary. Therefore, I live in his remembrance, because I can only think of my beloved and nothing else. Constant remembrance for me is a natural thing. I don't have to practice it. He said a mere human male loves a mere human female, and he thinks of her all the time. Can't you not think of your master? I said, Babuji, there's this problem that you are a man. Had you been a woman, I suppose things would have been different. He said, yes, they would have loved the female, but not the female master. You see? This is like, preferring to have water in a gold cup rather than in a tin cup. Then I said, why this 1 week, I said, excuse me, I'm asking, but why this 1 week you're not getting sittings? I'm asking on behalf of that man. I don't care. He said, I'm telling you, Lalaji told me you need rest. Your brain is tired. Therefore, I'm resting. Even my rest I take when he commands. See? I cannot rest without his command. I cannot even sleep without his command. I cannot eat without his command. When he says, Ramchandra, eat, I eat. You see, such absolute conformity to your master's wishes, I wouldn't call it obedience. It is like a dog waiting patiently for its feed. One day the owner may forget. The dog just quietly lies down patiently and goes to sleep. When at night it is fed, it wags its tail, barks in gratitude and eats. It doesn't tell its owner, you didn't feed me this afternoon, give me 2 helpings now. That is why Babuji said, reverse dog, D-O-G, and you get G-O-D, God. He said we must have that love, totality of love for the master. Obedience, not as obedience, but as a waiting for his instructions to do whatever you have to do. It is waiting, waiting, waiting all the time. When the order comes, do, you do. If he says sleep, I go to bed. If he says you are working too much, you are going to fall sick, I fall sick and I lie down. I don't pray for my health. I remember once a very moving incident. He was somewhere in Agra or Patna, I'm not sure. And he was asked to go to the station and take a train to Agra. Somebody, Ishwar Sahai, I think, or somebody was with him, went through the timetable and there was no train at that time at 11 o'clock. He said, I have been ordered, I go. So he and this man and 1 or 2 other people who were accompanying him went to the railway station and sat. They said, we have come to take the train to Agra. They said, there's no train now. The next train is at 8 o'clock this evening. The others advised him to go back. He said, no, I sit here. Lalaji's instructions. Within 15 minutes, as train comes, and it is announced that this train is going to Agra. So this man who said there is no train on the timetable went to the station master and said, what is this? There is no train on your timetable. He said, I got orders from the district superintendent of this railway to run a special train now. I don't know what for. And Babuji got in and went to Agra. This cannot be rationally explained. It cannot be explained to the satisfaction of a skeptic or unbeliever who says, but there has got to be a reason, Effect follows cause. Yes, I said, but there was a cause. The superintendent of the railways ordered it. Yes, but why did he order it? I said, your mother feeds you. Do you ask why? No, but Chariji, that's not a satisfying explanation. Then I said what Babuji told me, that there can be causes without effects. There can be effects without causes, which is even more difficult to understand. What is an effect without a cause? We know. We can apply for a job, but we don't get it. We run for the train, but we lose it. No? No effect. Cause without effect. Effect without cause. But how to explain that there can be effects without cause? Well, a simple one would be that we have a baby which we never expected. Nobody plans for a baby, at least not those who are happy, well established. I mean, well established internally, you see. They just obey the dictates of nature and the baby results. A product of love, which has no timetable. Only those who are unable to have children are agonizing all the time and trying to have children. Desperately trying. So you see, this makes some sort of logic, even to an illogical mind. So Babuji did his duty to his master, which was obedience, love, faith, action. He has crystallized Sahajmarg teaching into three aspects, you see. Love for the master, obedience of the master, satsang with the master. Now the third aspect is most important, especially for discipline within the mission. Satsang with the master. Everybody says, but I never go to Rajagopalachari. I don't have enough money to go to India, you know. How can I have satsang with the master? There lies the rub. Babuji said, remember that no preceptor can transmit to you unless I give the transmission. So whoever may be sitting in front of you transmitting to you, it is really the master. So if you remember that it is the master who is transmitting, it becomes satsang with the master. Something which is impossible to believe, therefore we don't understand, therefore we don't obey, and we think, oh, thank you, Mr. So-and-so, for giving me the sitting. I understand how difficult, you know, you have to take time off from your family. Common Western argument. I can't take more than an hour of Chariji from my family. My wife gets very upset. Here, every time I had to go with Babuji, I left my wife at home. I was away for months sometimes. The funny thing is, if you leave your wife alone to earn money, nobody objects. Oh, he's on tour. But if you are going to give sittings, sitting all the time, but don't you have any time for me? Don't I deserve some attention? So if people remember that it is always satsang with the master, whoever may be sitting in front of you, then this third thing, which is normally troublesome and leads to so many problems in the mission, that he is a good preceptor, he is a bad preceptor, you know, I like him, I don't like her, snooty, this, that and the other. Everything will disappear. We will have absolute silence, we will have absolute trust, we will have faith. Most of all, we will have discipline and obedience. When the preceptor says, come at 6 o'clock, they will say, it's the master's order. I must be there. I cannot, disobey the master. So, love for the master. Yeah, but you know, I had once to tell an unsavory story. My people were upset in Madras. They used to go to temples and say, oh, but we really think the master is there, you know, we worship. I said, thinking and believing are two different things. And knowing is even more difficulty. I know that this is master in the form of Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva, whoever. Can you do it? They said, what do you mean? I said, you know, there was a distant relative who was a postmaster in India. During World War II, he was sent on duty to Egypt, British Postal Services, you know, as a wartime postmaster. And obviously, he was enjoying himself with Egyptian girls because his wife back in Tanjore, south of 300 miles south, she started getting letters, insinuations, gossip. So she wrote a letter to him. She said, my dear husband, I am sorry to hear so many things about you. What is going on? He wrote back and said, my darling wife, whatever I am doing, with whomever I may be doing it, I am only thinking of you. I am quoting. This was way back. in 42 or 43, you know, maybe 45, I'm not sure. When I said this story, my audience was in uproar, my abhyasis of those days. How can you tell such a story in a satsang? I said, why not? It makes a point, you will never forget it. Isn't it? And you can contrast this with another story about G.I. Joe, who had just got married in the US and had been sent on duty to Japan. He was very desolate, very lonely, and his letters